Hey guys, Fusebox back on Raid Shadow Legends. So what I'm going to do, I actually made a video and then canned it. It's not a bad video, but I think I'm going to do this in a series. We're going to talk about early clan boss today. The reason is, basically when you're starting this game, this is kind of for early players. Who knows what you might get out of this, but I'm going to make a new clan boss team. I've got a good one. I've got an unkillable on here, but we're going to just make a clan boss team kind of together, right? Just explaining when you're starting out the ingredients you're looking for. I think a lot of people, you tend, even free to play early game, to get some good heroes, but that doesn't mean they're always good on clan boss. So I want to talk about it. One thing that happens sometimes, you'll get a hero. This is my giveaway account. It's got more silver to play with, so we're going to play on this one for today. Also, I am giving this away at 1,000 subs. I may give it away sooner. I've missed the last 2 fusion events, and that's simply because I work too much. So I may be giving this away pretty soon. I mean, we've got Ethos sitting pretty strong in his Savage gear. It's got some really fun champions, so pretty soon I might just be giving this away, by the way. So keep in touch, hit the notification bell, all that stuff. But what we're talking about is early game. So all we can do for now is pick some very early game heroes and try to make a clan boss team. So you're definitely going to want to use attack down. I see Coffin Smasher. This will be great. We're going to have to rebuild him, and I'll explain that in a minute, even though he has a decent build here. Might use some Apothecary. I definitely see a defensive aura that's really easy to come by. If you're better, even better if you have somebody like Tayrail. We'll talk about that because Tayrail does both. He brings defense down and decrease attack. But the ingredients you're looking for, decreasing attack will be the #1 thing I would be looking for early game. We'll probably go into Brutal, maybe hit Nightmare with the same team, see how that goes. We're going to want a defensive aura is huge. I believe Bulwark comes with he'll have to be rebuilt too. 17% in all battles. A lot of people are looking for, I don't know if I have Tayrail on this account. I'm probably looking right at him. But you could use Stagnite as decreasing defense and decrease attack. That might actually be a great option. Then we're going to have to put whoever we use in lifesteal gear. That's going to be pretty much crucial. Early game, if you get one man-eater, you're not going to really mitigate damage. And when that move of trying to be unkillable wears off, all of a sudden you're vulnerable because you took damage with the unkillable buff, and then the big AoE comes in, or however you're using him. So early on, you just want a formula. Now, a poisoner is something, poisons and HP burns. We actually have an HP burn on both Coffin Smasher and Bulwark, which is great. Bulwark brings a weakened debuff, which is great. Decreased defense is something we'll be looking for here quickly. But a poisoner. So I think we've got 3 good heroes. If we're not speed tuning this, I'm pretty sure we'll bring Apothecary to speed us up and just keep us lapping. And then I'll show the importance of speed tuning afterwards. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a counterattack champion, absolutely, you're going to want to bring them. They're going to up your damage. If you do not, then an ally attack is another good way to go. So the formula is simple. Let's start on some of these heroes. We won't watch me build them out. We'll just talk about what we need. We need lifesteal gear. Now, if you've gotten far enough, if you've got a leech champion, then 100% use that leech. That leech does negate the need for you to use lifesteal gear. Otherwise, you need lifesteal gear. And every hero that we're going to look at, no matter how you build them, is going to need either Giant Slayer or War Master. If you're getting 3 hits on an A1, go Giant Slayer. Anything less than that, take War Master. With a few exceptions. I mean, if you've got Brogni, things like that, you know how that works. Geomancer, take War Master. But what I'm going to do is take some of these champions. I'm going to get this guy. Now, the question is, do we want to speed tune or not? Let's talk about Nightmare real quick. For Nightmare, the clan boss goes 170 speed. So we want to be just faster than that clan boss. My slowest champion should be, if I'm bringing a counter attacker, he needs to be my last champion, right? He needs to go right before the clan boss hits with an AoE, so everybody gets a counterattack. So we may go that route just to show the damage that helps add. It also brings in these A1s that decrease attack, sometimes decrease defense, so it's excellent to do. With a very simple formula, we could probably make a pretty solid clan boss team. So let me get him in lifesteal gear. somewhere between 172. I'll try to get 171 on Skull Crusher, and we'll go 172 up to about 183 or so on all my champions in lifesteal gear. Okay, early game. We're going to do early game builds here. You need lifesteal. These are the things you need on every champion, no matter what, even if they're an attack champion. For Ultra Nightmare, you're looking at 3,500 defense minimum on all of them, and about 220 accuracy if they have any reason to be landing a debuff. Now, Coffin Smasher is going to be decreasing attack and bringing HP burn. He needs accuracy. We've already hit that. His speed is not quite where we want it. We need him over 172. I'm going to do some glyphing. Not even going to roll all of this all the way up. Where's my defense right now? 2,500. So we're good for brutal. I'd say about 3,000 for nightmare. If I roll these defense boots up with speed rolls, then I should be able to go ahead and hit close to 3,000, 3,500, 3,000 probably. So I'll go ahead and keep rolling this up, and I'm going to throw glyphs on it, and we'll see how close we are. Okay, Coffin Smasher, we do want HP, but it comes after defense. I'm going to shoot for 3,000. That's about where we are with some glyphs. We're just over 172, which is what I wanted to be. He is crit capped and then has like very average early game crit damage. He does have the accuracy needs, so everything's ready to go on him. Now I'm just going to look. I may have some of these champions from a long time ago. They may be, see, here we go. She's in lifesteal gear. 212 is a little fast, so I may adjust her, add some crit rate. But on things like Frozen Banshee, her defense, you don't worry about her attack. You want defense. That's the way she was built when I was using her. I'm going to lower this speed just a little bit to keep her speed tuned, and maybe try to up her crit damage a bit. And then we will, and obviously she needs an attack accuracy banner. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to get 5 champions that bring all the things we need. Attack down, defense down, weaken, protection, any kind of protection. But we're going to use very basic champions. I'm going to get them set up, and we'll see how they work. Okay, so we're talking about brutal. We're over 2,500. We're actually pretty close to, I'd say, going into Nightmare. We have plenty of accuracy. We're crit capped. She doesn't do much damage, and we're not able to put attack on her because early game defense is more important. I tried to glyph up her HP. It's still pretty low, but she'll do fine. Now let me see who else we're going to bring. Okay, Rosin is a fusible champion, and he actually takes care of debuffs completely and hits pretty hard. Now, this build is from when I had an early clan boss team, so it's perfect for bringing in. He's not super strong. He's got decent crit damage, decent defense, and decent HP. He's got all the accuracy needs, so I'm going to leave him be since he's in lifesteal gear. And I know I'm thinking about Bulwark. I mean, I've got Sepulchre Sentinel. I've got better champions I could bring. But I want to make sure we're doing this pretty free to play. So we've got Rosin for debuffs. We've got attack down here. We've got Frozen Banshee. I'm going to go ahead and work on my counterattacks, which may be ready to go because I believe he was. So I just need to speed up Coffin Smasher to be 1 faster than him, and he'll be ready to go. Decent attack. Decent defense. Now, this guy actually hits hard. This is a pretty weak build, but we'll use it. We'll go ahead and use it. He could use some crit damage. I may play with him. So let me get these champions all the way that I like them, and then we're going to go check them out. Okay, I think we're ready. Got Bulwark over 3,000. Not even rolling everything up. I pretty much used my 12 million silver already. So let's put this team together, see if we want to do any presets. This is something that did not exist in the past, so it's huge. It's huge that they offer that now. Let me get in there and let's put our team together. We're not worried about too much. Let me turn some of this off. Okay, I think I have the wrong one off here. Yeah, Cruel. This is the one we don't need it. We're going to turn this one off. And really, she does this on her own. But just to be safe, we'll turn off Bog Down. Everybody else is just going to do their thing. You can look at my speeds. They're all between 173 and 180. So we're going just faster than the clan boss. And this will work for Nightmare as well. And you can make it work for even Ultra Nightmare if you're strong enough. But you're looking at our defense. We're trying to stay pretty high on defense. Where we're at, we want over 2,500, and we're definitely over that on everybody, so it's probably good for Nightmare as well. The important things, we have a chance to extend debuffs by being hit when we have Bulwark on our team. He'll be my aura for extra defense. Poisons, that's all she's here for. Coffin Smasher's bringing attack down, most importantly, and HP burn. We do have a weaken refresh here. the extra counterattacks are going to bring extra chances. If I didn't, I would bring an allied attack if I didn't have a counterattack. But extra A1s means more guarantee to keep attack down. That's the most important debuff on the boss early game. Everybody's in lifesteal gear. So let's save this and start the fight. We'll just watch a little bit of it. We'll skip through. I'm going to let it go ahead and finish just so we know how it actually looks at the end. The mediocre builds, you just saw all my crit rate and crit damage. They're very mediocre, right? We've already got poison sensitivity up. Counterattack is up. Now, actually, I did not have a glyph to make Coffin Smasher go 1 speed faster than my counterattack. So I'm actually losing out a little bit on this, but it's going to be fine. If you're early game, simple formula to stay alive as long as possible while doing damage. Your gear will determine how high you can build your crit rate, crit damage, but you have to have that defense first, even on an attack champion. That's why people like defensive champions. Their attack damage will be based on defense. So let's let this go just a couple rounds, and I will speed it up, skip through a little bit, because we're going to go ahead and try Nightmare. This is where everybody's really struggling to get, and these are just mostly free-to-play or rare champions, and you can use anybody you want. If they bring these, attack down, defense down, weaken, lifesteal gear on everybody, maybe some poisons, HP burns, the basic formula. Get their defense where they can survive, make sure they're in lifesteal, and have War Master or Giant Slayer, and you can stay alive pretty well. And we will not last forever. This isn't going to break the bank. But we do want to see if we can maybe 1-key Brutal with a very simple team following this formula, and then see if we couldn't get through 3 to 4 keys on Nightmare, which is much more valuable when it comes to the chest and loot. Okay, so round 20, that's when the clan boss enrages. He's already getting close to killing me on the stun, so you know we're almost at our limit. I think we'll survive a little bit longer, but we're doing completely reasonable damage for Brutal. Staying pretty well alive. Didn't really plan on who was going to be our actual stun target, so everything's good. There's room to even roll up shields and glyph on my stun target, which is Bulwark. Him taking the stun does give me a chance to increase, see, he's starting to get over half health now that we're past 20, so it definitely hits hard, but with lifesteal we should still heal up. All we gotta do is survive that second AoE, and then we should start healing up pretty well, see? So let's just kind of watch this through. Definitely not too hard to get yourself a 1-key on Brutal, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute. Okay, now it's finally falling apart. I don't remember what a 1-key is on Brutal, but I think it's 21 million, so we blew past that. So, a tip while this plays out, because this still may stretch out a little further. We've got some pretty defensive champs hiding in here. I'm sure that Frozen Banshee will be the next to go, unless somebody just doesn't heal up, doesn't prop War Master or Giant Slayer. But once you can 1-key, whether it's normal, Brutal, hard, wherever you are. If you can one key it, you probably should be moving on to the next stage, because the loot really doesn't get good until Nightmare. If you can one key Brutal, you should probably be going for at least a 4 key, if not a 3 key on Nightmare. Same thing with Nightmare. If you're at the verge of one keying Nightmare, your best bet is to probably use your keys on Ultra Nightmare, unless you just cannot do it. That way you're getting the best loot, helping your clan kill that clan boss every day for double the best loot. And eventually you will end up getting your keys on all of them, on Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare, and maybe even still Brutal. But this is about to wrap up, but it almost hit 30 million. Definitely, we just threw this together. You saw pretty sloppy builds, but we did what we had to do. We put the defense on them. We put them in lifesteal, got 28.5 million. We're not even sitting here trying to show off any of these heroes, but decent damage across the board for a starter type team, right? A really easy team to build. So what is the top key here? It is 21 million. We blew past that. So now this is going to be rough. We are on the wrong affinity. They're going to put slow on us. This is not going to stay tuned the way it should. But let's see what we can do on Nightmare real quick. Yuck. I'm going to go ahead and buy a key. And again, this isn't even perfect because I need one more speed on my Coffin Smasher to actually get extra counterattacks, which helps me keep up attack down. But against Affinity, with a non-Affinity team, we're going to go ahead and see how this goes. At least the Affinity, we got a weak hit from Rosin. So you see, we already have problems. We're already going to have issues with this. But I'm sure that it'll still do enough to let us know, could we be 3 or 4 king Nightmare? We saw the 1 key on Brutal. It's time to move on. So let's just let this run through. I'll skip quite a bit of it. We have real problems because of the Spirit Affinity. Our stun target became Skull Crusher, throwing off our tune completely with counterattacks. We're going to let it play through. We're going to go ahead and let it play through. This is where you might just bring an allied attack or a speed booster and just try to mess with the entirety of it all. But we're also keeping so many debuffs up that I'm worried we're not going to be able to let Rosin land when he finally doesn't get a weak hit, his defense down and weakened, because we got tons of poisons up. So remember that this damage is far less than we would be doing, like far less. Okay, this is going to fall apart pretty quickly with all the Affinity mismatches and round 20 coming. But we already know, I'll check, but I think it's 30 something million. We already can 3 or 4 key with this team on a horrible Affinity matchup. Probably the worst that you could ask for this team. So I'm going to stop it right when we start to really fall apart, when a few heroes die here, because I think it's going to happen now that it's past turn count 20. And back out. But this, on a different Affinity, could probably do close to what we saw on Brutal. So getting into Nightmare is not that hard. It really isn't. I think that lately we haven't been putting out videos about the basics. These were the basics we all grew up with. If you started, when I did years ago at this point, and these basics will get you through even Ultra Nightmare. Just go for more like 3,500 defense. Same principles. Get your crit rate tight. Get your crit damage high, and you'll do even much better than what we're doing right now. It's actually still going. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest. We're going to almost hit 20 million. That's pretty good for a bunch of rares that we just threw in lifesteal. Had very mediocre stats on them. The damage potential out of some of these heroes, not just Rosin, but all of these heroes have huge damage potential. Frozen Banshee just needs accuracy and defense to do her job. Honestly, I would go ahead and try to give her crit rate. So here we are. We're falling apart, and I want to use my key to beat Ultra Nightmare with my real team. But it's so easy to get in here and do. It looks like we'll probably land about 20 million when it's all said and done. Let me back out. Okay, well, that's really it. I wanted to go over the basics that got so many of us through Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare back in the day, because you see all these fancy setups nowadays, and it's hard to do early game. So many things that you see feel unobtainable because they're being done by some of the top players with the top gear, top champions. Trying to piece together a healing team is really not that easy early game. But even if you're doing those, you can still follow these rules. Bring attack down. That cuts that damage in half. The attack of the clan boss cut in half is huge for staying alive. Breaking his defense, weaken, ups your damage tremendously through your masteries. Of course, poisons don't need that, but you will. Everybody that hits is going to get points done by their masteries, and it adds up tremendously. So I just wanted to kind of go over it. Clan boss is the first thing I would work on in a game. I know some people value other things, but in the end, you got to start getting books and shards to build those heroes and gear, and that all comes from the best loot that you can get from the clan boss. Anyways, hopefully it helps somebody, and until next time, enjoy the grind.